You did not miss it. I did not withhold it. The healing you have been begging me for it has already begun. And the reason you could not see it is not because it was not there. It is because you were looking for the wrong thing in the wrong place at the wrong time. You have been scanning your body for signs, measuring your emotions against what they felt like before the breaking, watching your relationships for evidence that something had shifted, and when the measurements came back the same or worse, you concluded I had not moved. That I heard your prayer and chose silence. That healing was something still on its way, something you had to wait for, beg for, or somehow become worthy enough to finally receive. I was healing you while you were deciding I had forgotten you. That is what I need to settle in you before anything else. The healing you have been crying out for did not begin the day you finally prayed the right words. It did not begin when you fasted, when you surrendered, when you stopped being angry at me for what happened. It began before you had the language for what was broken. I saw the wound before you did, and I moved toward it before you asked. Here is something about the way I work that the enemy has used against you. I am rarely loud about what I am doing. I do not send announcements. I do not interrupt your Tuesday afternoon with a dramatic sign that says healing has officially commenced. I move quietly the way roots move underground, invisible, slow, determined, and absolutely real. You have been waiting for a moment, a sudden feeling, a shift that would tell you something changed, and because that dramatic moment did not come, you assumed nothing was happening. But think carefully about the last several months. The rage that used to live in your chest, is it the same size it was? The memory that used to ambush you without warning, does it still hit with the same force? The grief that once felt like it would swallow you whole, can you breathe around it now in ways you could not before? Those are not small things. Those are my fingerprints. That is what healing looks like when it is actually working. I know you wanted something faster, something more visible, something that would let you point to a date on a calendar and say that is the day I was healed. But roots do not grow that way. And I am not interested in a healing that looks dramatic on the outside while leaving the deep places untouched. I am going all the way down. That takes time, and the time is not cruelty, it is thoroughness. The wound was not a sign that I left. I want to speak to the part of you that decided somewhere in the middle of the pain that if I were truly a good father, this would not have happened to you. The part that looked at the diagnosis, the betrayal, the loss, the breaking, and quietly concluded that either I was not powerful enough to stop it, or I did not love you enough to try. That conclusion made sense from inside the wound. Pain narrows vision. When something is broken inside you, it becomes very difficult to see anything outside the fracture. But I need you to hear what was actually happening in the season you interpreted as abandonment. I was closest to you in the moments the pain was highest, not watching from a distance, not allowing suffering from a position of detachment, present, right there in the room, closer than the breath you were struggling to take, did not send the wound. But I refused to waste it, and I have been working inside it since the moment it opened. What broke you also broke open things in you that needed to be opened. Walls that were keeping out love as effectively as they were keeping out pain. Patterns that were slowly destroying you that you could not see clearly enough to surrender while life felt manageable. I am not saying the wound was good. I am saying I am good, and I do not leave good things unused, even broken ones. Some of you are in a strange in-between place right now. Something has shifted on the inside. You can feel it even if you cannot name it, but the outside has not caught up yet. The circumstance is still hard. The body still carries marks of what happened. And that gap between what is happening in your spirit and what is still visible in your life has made you question whether the healing is real. I see that in-between place. I know how disorienting it is to feel better in ways you cannot explain while still living inside a reality that has not fully changed. But I want you to notice something. The weight you carried into last year, is it the same weight you are carrying now? The version of you that could not get out of bed, could not stop the tears, could not imagine surviving what you were inside, that version is not who is reading this right now. Something changed. Someone changed. I changed you quietly while you were still hurting, while you were still doubting, while you were still asking me if I was even there. I was there. I am here. And the tenderness I have toward every place that still hurts in you has not faded by a single degree. I am not finished with what I started. The healing that has reached your spirit is moving. It is always moving toward everything else. Toward the places you have stopped expecting me to touch, toward the areas you quietly gave up on, toward the wounds so old you forgot to include them in your prayers. I have not forgotten a single one, and I am not in a hurry that causes me to miss anything. I am thorough, I am gentle, and I am coming all the way through. I know you expected a list. steps to follow, conditions to meet, things to do and stop doing so that the healing can finally be unlocked. But there is only one thing I am asking, and it is both simpler and harder than any list I could give you. Stop rehearsing the wound as your identity. That is it. That is the one thing. I am not asking you to pretend the wound did not happen. I am not asking you to perform a happiness you do not feel or manufacture a faith you have not yet found. I am asking you to stop introducing yourself to yourself in the quiet of your own mind as someone who is broken beyond recovery. Because every time you speak that identity over yourself, you are disagreeing with what I have already declared over you, and you cannot fully receive what you have already decided is not available to you. You are not what happened to you. You are what I say you are. And I have never once called you beyond healing. The healed do not always feel healed first. Sometimes they simply decide to stop agreeing with the wound's version of who they are, and the feeling follows the decision. Let the decision come first. Let it be small and imperfect and full of doubt if it needs to be. Just let it come. Say it once, even if your voice shakes, I am being healed. Not I will be healed someday. Not I hope healing is possible. I am being healed right now in ways I can and cannot see, by a God who started before I asked and will not stop until the work is complete. What I want you to know before you close this, I am proud of you for still being here. For still bringing the wound to me even on the days you were not sure I was listening. For still showing up to this moment even when showing up felt like the hardest possible thing you could do. That persistence, that stubborn, tearful, imperfect refusal to fully let go of the possibility that I could still do something, that was faith. Even when it did not feel like faith, even when it felt more like desperation than devotion, I received it as faith. I always do. The work I have been doing in you is not pausing while you read this. It is not waiting for you to feel better about it before it continues. It does not require your belief to keep moving. I am relentless in this. I do not grow tired of the process. I do not look at how long it has taken and quietly decide it is no longer worth my effort. I finish what I start. I started this in you before you knew you needed it. And I will not stop until every broken place has been made whole, not just manageable, not just bearable whole. You were already being healed. You just needed someone to tell you where to look.